You are listening to Hillary Topper on Air.
Welcome to another episode of Hillary Topper on Air. Today, we have an exciting and inspiring guest who's going to be joining us. Her name is Vicki Ventura, and she's the powerhouse behind Event Power Long Island. Vicki is a seasoned expert in organizing some of the region's most thrilling running and triathlon events. Her experience and dedication have brought together athletes of all levels to challenge themselves and achieve greatness. In this episode, we're going to explore planning and executing endurance events, from overcoming unexpected challenges to creating unforgettable experiences for participants. Vicki will share insights into the industry trends shaping the industry, how she ensures safety for all athletes, and what the future holds for Event Power Long Island. Whether you're a seasoned triathlete or someone dreaming of taking on their first race, you'll find inspiration and practical advice in today's conversation. Get ready for an episode packed with stories, strategies, and motivation. Let's dive in. Hi, Vicki. Welcome to the show.
Hi, Hillary. Thanks so much for having me.
So, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and your background and how you got involved with Event Power Long Island?
Yes, so I grew up in Massapequa. I currently live in Huntington, and I've always been a runner. I ran in high school and I ran in college. But I got involved with Event Power because my friend, her dad owned a bike store, and he was a sponsor of the Tobe Triathlon. And in high school, she was like, we all have to do this triathlon. My dad's a sponsor. So 5 of our friends signed up, and it's an early morning. You have to get there at like 5:30 in the morning. And race morning, I was the only one that showed up out of all my friends to race. And I ended up doing it and loving it. I started swimming with a swim team, Team Total Training, which is now Total Masters Swimming. And I had the running down, and I started just biking and cycling around, my neighborhood and at Cedar Creek Park. And I really enjoyed the triathlon community. And then I signed up for my next race, which was the Mighty North Fork Triathlon, and they needed volunteers. So I volunteered at that event. And then I just kept volunteering, eventually became the volunteer coordinator. I went to college for sport management. And then after graduation, I became the race director for Event Power. So it was full
Wow,
cycle. So I've done everything. I've been on the course volunteering. I've been at the award ceremony volunteering. And so started from the ground up.
that's so cool. So let's talk a little bit about event management. It really, as you know, I know also, it's no small feat. What's a typical day like for you when you're planning an event, a triathlon event?
Well, there are a lot of moving pieces. So the first thing I do to start my day is make a list of everything that I need to do. And it includes communicating with sponsors, right? Sponsors are a huge part of our events, and they wouldn't be possible without the sponsors and the volunteers. So a lot of times, if it's a race week, I'm coordinating with the sponsors, making sure they're going to be at the race site, that we have everything that they need. Coordinating with the volunteers. So some races we have up to 75 volunteers. So making sure everyone gets all the information that they need, and coordinating with our staff. So we have different captains for each part of the event. So we just want to make sure the captains have all the information that they need. And then there's also stuff like stuffing goodie bags and stuffing the envelopes and making sure all the permits are in place. So there's a lot of little pieces, and also being on the road. So it's not just sitting in the office, but it's also seeing our sponsors and seeing the participants and having clinics. I mean, this morning I went to Runner's Edge to stop by and say hi to them. And you just want to always be out there and see what the participants are saying and doing and what the newest products are and trends. So just being involved in the community and also making sure that everything is in place for the race to make it a safe and successful race, communicating with the police and the ambulance and everyone that you need throughout the event.
Yeah, I don't think that most people go to these events and realize how much it takes to put on an amazing event. Really, I mean, there's so many elements and there's so many things that could go wrong, right? So, talk to me about some of the biggest challenges that you faced when organizing these large scale events.
I'd say a challenge that we face and we usually see it in Montauk is the wind. So it could be windy. So, for example, one year, we were at the Mighty Man Half Olympic and sprint distance race. This year we have the sprint and Olympic. It's usually the end of September or beginning of October. This year it's in September. And anyone who emails us knows who Tara is. She's been on our team for over 10 years. And so we both walk out of our hotel room and the winds are like 27-mile-per-hour winds. And we're like, oh my goodness, this is windy. So we have to, make sure everything is weighted down, make sure the tents are weighted down, the feather flags are weighted down. If there's not an opportunity to weight something down, we take it down. Making sure we have someone who, make sure our bike person is out there. He rode his bike around the lighthouse to make sure that it was safe around there because it was windy, checking the wind in that area. Then opening up the opportunity for people, if they didn't want to go around the lighthouse where it was very windy, they could drop down to the sprint distance race, which didn't go in that area. So just making all the tweaks and adjustments needed. And then you also have the water. So the water could be choppy. So it could be a matter of shortening the course or having to change the course. This particular year, it was also foggy. So we had to delay the swim like 20 minutes just to wait for the fog to clear out. So it's just managing the different pieces that come up, but having people on your team that you can trust and know, okay, we're checking the wind, we're making sure everything's, tied down and making sure the athlete's safe. Because that's our number one priority is athlete safety. And if it wasn't safe to go out on the course, then we'd have to adjust the course or
Yeah,
adjust the
absolutely.
entire event.
Yeah. I mean, it just seems that you have to be so flexible, that you
Mm.
can't always be, a lot of people are just very like structured, right? But when you do an event like this, you really can't be. You got to just go with the flow because anything could happen, right?
That's true.
So, share a story about an event that was particularly memorable to you, either because it was hugely successful or because you had to overcome some type of unforeseen challenge, like what you talked about with the Montauk race.
I think it's when I think of a fun, good heart, warming moment from a race, my mind always goes to the Mini Mighty Man Triathlon because this is one of the best beginner races. It was actually just nominated one of the top 15 beginner triathlons by Triathlete magazine. And we have a clinic for this race. And so we have about 30 to 40 first timers that come out and have questions that first timers have. And there's so many questions and so many things we try to do to help the participants. And we have people at the clinic, it's a month before the race, that are still struggling just to swim across the other side of the pool, but they need tips and they're able to train and they know, okay, this is what I have to do to get to 400 meters by race day. And I remember there was a woman who did the clinic and she still does our races today. And this was probably 4 years ago. And she struggled in the swim. And when she got to the race day, she was able to do the full swim. And another person on our team, Vicki Edwards, who's also works the swim clinic and is our swim captain at the Mini Mighty Man Triathlon, sees this participant come out of the water and they're both so excited. They start screaming and cheering and crying. And now I'm like getting teary eyed. And it's just like she was able to accomplish so much in a month just by going to the clinic and learning hands on what she had to do to get to that finish line. And so she ended up doing the whole race. This year she did the Mighty Hamptons event. So it's just seeing those moments where you see that people connected at the clinic and they connect through triathlon. And now you gain a friend forever by these events.
That's so awesome. Thank you for sharing that. Let's talk a little bit about safety because you talked a little bit about it earlier with the Montauk race. How do you ensure that participants stay safe during an event like, any of these events, whether it's water safety or which it seems like a lot of people are very, very nervous when they get in the water to the bike, where, it's an open course. How do you get people to feel comfortable that the cars are going to do what they say they're supposed to do. You know what I mean? There's just so many things that could go wrong. So, yeah.
So for the swim, we work with amazing lifeguards. Each race there's lifeguards for different events have different lifeguards, but we work with lifeguards that we can count on, that are certified, that are communicating when they're out on the water, whether it's through radio. They always have people on the shore. So they know, a lot of beginners struggle, and a lot of beginners struggle from the start to the first buoy. If you get to that first buoy, then you pretty much usually are okay. But that's where they keep, a lot of the guards, because people don't feel comfortable wearing their wetsuit. They're like, this is the first time I put the wetsuit on, and they need to take their wetsuit off while they're in the water, and the lifeguards will take the wetsuit for them and bring it back to shore. So it's really just that comfort level. I mean,
Yeah.
I did a triathlon once in Arizona, and the water was freezing. And I said to myself, just get to the first buoy. And if I can't get to the first buoy, raise my hand, because I'm so cold and I had a wetsuit on. And I got to the first buoy, and that's like peace of mind. So I feel like our guards know that a lot of the beginners just need that peace of mind. And yeah, just making sure people, we send out so many details, and make sure everyone's prepared with the right equipment, and that, like, wetsuit, goggles, that it's not your first time wearing it, that you've swam before. If someone reaches out to us and says, I'm really nervous, I'm nervous to get in that water, I haven't been swimming, I don't know if I could do it, then my first response is always do the bike run. We have a bike run option. If you're nervous, so nervous to get into that water that you're reaching out to us, then don't do it.
Yeah.
Train more, practice more, get a coach or join a team, or just do the bike run or do a relay. So that's our number one. We're not going to say, oh, you could do it, you'll be fine. It's If you don't feel comfortable doing it, then just switch to another option. For the bike, we put out signs on the courses that say, there is going to be a race in progress. We send out mailers to neighbors. We put flyers in mailboxes. Um, the roads from almost all the races are open to traffic. And, we tell riders, ride in the shoulder. You have to follow the rules of the road. If there's a stop sign, you need to stop. A lot of times we have volunteers at those intersections. If it's a big intersection, there's police cars, but you need to follow the rules of the road. So if there's a stop sign on the course, it's not invisible for you, and that you just need to be prepared to follow all those rules of the road.
Yeah, that's great. So someone comes to you, they would like to do a triathlon, they've never done one before. What advice would you give that person participating in their first event, Power Long Island Race?
I always say just make sure you read the emails. That's a big one, because it has all the information you need, the time you need to arrive, the details you need. But more importantly, just make sure you practice, because you'll feel comfortable if you practice. So if the swim is 400 meters, practice 800 meters, practice more than what you're doing on race day, because you're not just swimming, you then have to bike and run. And I also suggest practicing the transitions from bike to run, because if the first time you get off your bike and run is on a race day, your legs are going to feel so wobbly. So I always say you got to just practice the bike to run, practice swimming to biking, practice the transition area at home, lay it out in your living room. And when you go to, at home, if you swim or bike and then you're going to change, do a transition area. But
Yeah.
just be prepared by practicing, doing the right training, putting in the time and effort, and then also reading all the instructions that we send out.
It's great, great advice. So, in terms of industry trends, right? How have you seen the world of triathlon evolving over the years?
It's since COVID, we've seen it growing. I feel like it's coming back. The numbers used to be pretty high, and there was a lot of members of the USA Triathlon, and then there was a dip, and then COVID. There was even more of a dip. But now people are getting back out there and exercising. We see younger participants signing up for the events. It used to be, 40 to 44-year-olds was our largest age group. Especially our Montauk races, we see a lot of people in their 20s coming out to that event. And USAT is doing a lot with youths and juniors. The USAT is really just spending their time and energy on growing the sport for the youths, which is the future of triathlon. So I think that
Mhm.
it's an upward trend.
Yeah, it also seems to me that people in their 60s and 70s are also doing it. And there's
Mhm.
always a lot of people in those age groups. Um, is it really for everybody?
I think so. It's, we have our first kids that do the youth race are 7 years old, and we have participants that are 86 years old. And some people say, I can't run anymore. So we have the aqua bike, so you can swim and bike. You don't have to do the run.
Yeah.
But definitely, I think it's for any age.
Talk to us a little bit about sustainability and environmental impact. I mean, a lot of athletes, I see them, dropping stuff on the course and that type of thing. Like, what do you do to ensure that there is no litter, no, the sustainability and environmental impact of your events?
So we always say that we leave a race site cleaner than when we got there. And that's our motto. And when we have an event and we go there, if there's any garbage on the beach or litter on the course, we pick it up before the event because we don't want our participants to be seeing it. When you're riding on a race course, you want to see, a beautiful scenery. You don't want to be looking at any garbage. So if there's even if it's just like a water bottle that someone might have thrown out the window, we pick that up before the event. And then afterwards, we go around on each course on the bike and the run, and we clean everything up from gels, which you're not supposed to litter on the course, and you could be get a hepatitis C from USA Triathlon, but we sometimes find gels that we clean up. If someone loses their water bottle, it falls out of their holder, or watches, or anything that's on their bike, sunglasses, whatever we find, we pick up from the course. And then also the race site, the parking lot, we walk up and down the beach. We pick up any zip ties that we may have used, anything that, we find. So when we leave the race site, it's perfectly clean because we want to be good to the places that our races are held, and we don't want to go there and leave any garbage behind, and then the neighbors and the community members have to see
Yeah.
that. And also recycling is a huge part. So any bottles, we started at the end of this year. We've always done recycle bins, and it's been hard for people after the race to just to differentiate, I guess, the recycle bins from the garbage. It's gotten mixed together, but this past year we really did a good job of recycling as many bottles as we could after the event. And we have someone on our team that will then recycle them and take them to the stores. So we
That's
definitely
great.
are doing the best we can to be sustainable.
That's awesome. So tell us a little bit about some of the races. We really haven't talked about that yet, and I'd love to hear, when does it start? When should people start gearing up for these races? And what do you have going on?
So for this year, our first race of the season is April 27th. That's the Mini Mighty Man Pool Triathlon at Eisenhower Park. And right now you could start training, whether it's base training, right? So you want to do a couple runs or swims or bike rides just to get your body moving again. And so we have the pool triathlon, and then we have a duathlon in May at Heckscher State Park. It's a run, bike, run event. We have the Mighty North Fork Triathlon in Southold, which is a great destination event. It's Memorial Day weekend, so you could spend, the whole weekend out there with family. That's a sprint. Then in June, we have a Beacon of Hope 5K, which is in Montauk, and that benefits the Women's Coalition for Cancer on the East End. And all the money raised from that event goes directly to East End women that need the support, and also
Wow.
benefits Lucia's Angel. So that's an amazing event. That one actually raised over 25,000 last year for the beneficiaries.
Wow.
And Katie Couric was there. She started the event, so that was cool. And then in July, we have the Lighthouse Triathlon, and that's a sprint triathlon that finishes at the Lighthouse. It's the largest sprint triathlon in the Northeast. It has over 625 participants, so that's a big
Wow.
one. And that's cool because it has two transition areas. So you start at Gin Beach, but you finish at the Lighthouse. And then in August, we have the Smith Point Triathlon, which is a sprint triathlon. That was ranked number 2 by USA Today for one of the best sprint triathlons in the country last year. And then we have the Tobe Triathlon in August, which also has a kids event. And then in September, we have the Mighty Hamptons Olympic Distance Triathlon presented by Northwell Health. And then the end of September, we have the Mighty Man Sprint and Olympic races.
It's a full schedule. Full. So any new events or initiatives coming up that we should hear about?
For this year, we don't have any new events on the calendar. Um, we're just looking to increase all our events that we have. So increase, the participants that we have, the sponsors that we have, just making it the best events that we can. So rather than add on more weekends where people have to decide which race to do, we just want to make the events that we have even better than we can.
That's awesome. Looking back on your career so far, is there one moment or achievement that stands out that's particularly meaningful to you?
I'd have to say when my daughter did the Tobe Triathlon last year, that was her first triathlon, and
Ah,
she didn't decide to do it until that morning. She was gonna come like volunteer, and she was like, "I'll bring everything." And she was 8 years old, and and the way that every single person there knew that she was like my daughter and cheered for her like she was a rock star, that was like, wow, all these people like they know the event power energy. They were like supportive of not only me, but of like her. And it was just so cool that when she crossed the finish line, she's like, how did everybody know my name? And it's like, it's all the little things that lead up, all the relationships you make and all the connections you make.
yes.
And people see your family on social media and they see them at races. And my kids are at the events and my husband works the race. So then to be at an event where she does it and everybody made her feel like a rock star, I was like, wow, that's really cool. So
That is
that
really
was
cool.
special.
I love
Yeah.
that. I absolutely love that. And your daughter is how old?
She's 8.
8. That's
Yeah.
incredible. Wow. So I want to thank you for sharing your insights with us and your time. Can you share information on how listeners can connect with Event Power Long Island and also register for some of these either running or triathlon races?
Yeah, so everything's listed at eventpowerli.com. And from there, you can see the full calendar of events and you can click on each specific event and get more information. And you can either sign up for the event, you can volunteer for the event. So again, it's eventpowerli.com.
Terrific. And one more question about volunteering. Talk to us just a little bit more about how to get involved as a volunteer. Do you need volunteers?
Yeah, so we always need volunteers for all our events, and volunteers could have a full range of tasks. So if you're into cooking, you can volunteer at the post race food, or if you want to, see what the bike course is like because you've never done a triathlon before, you could volunteer for the bike course. So you pick where you'd like to go, and there's from packet pickup in the morning to marking people with their number, being on the course, the finish line. So there's a full range of opportunities, and I always say if someone's nervous to do their first triathlon and they don't know if they could do it, come to a race, check it out, be part of it, and then guaranteed you're going to be like, all right, I'm signing up for this. And then also people that volunteer earn credits so that they can race at a discounted race for future events, so
Oh,
that's
that's
always a
great.
plus too.
Terrific. Well, thank you so much. And again, the website is eventpowerli.com. I want to take a moment to thank my incredible sponsors who make this podcast possible. First, a huge thank you to the Russo Law Group, Long Island Signature, Estate Planning, Elder Law, and Special Needs Law Firm. Their expertise and dedication are unmatched. For more information about their services, visit their website at vjrussolaw.com. Next, a big shout out to Playtry. Whether you're into swimming, biking, running, or all three, Playtry has everything you need to excel. Thinking of joining the business world? They also offer franchise opportunities. Visit playtry.com to explore or make a purchase. And finally, I have to give some love to Vimazi, the shoes I personally rely on, both for training and racing. These are a game changer for athletes. Check out their website at Vimazi, that's VIMAZI.com for more information. And don't forget, a special discount code is available on atriathletesdiary.com. That's my blog. And if you go to atriathletesdiary.com/discounts, you'll see a whole host of discounts, including Vamazi shoes. Thank you, sponsors, for your support. You're helping us bring this podcast to life and keep the community thriving.